How to do scratchboard art. The materials you need will be a scratchboard, a pencil, and a scratch tool. The first thing we will do is make a value scale at the bottom of your small scratchboard. You will need to make 7 sections, and it should be about this long. You can use a ruler if you want to, but go ahead and draw it with a pencil first at the very bottom because you want to leave room for everything else. So then you use the scratch tool to scrape off the top black coating. Now the more you scrape, the whiter it becomes. So this will be your first part of your value scale. Do it carefully and scrape off all of the black, and then play with the pressure of your tool. Once you're finished with that, go to your second box. Remember, for darker values, you leave more black showing. And this is where you can use your cross-hatching in order to create the value. You just don't want to take off all of the white. You want to leave some of the dark, and that will be your second box for your second value. Now we'll go on to our next box. And again, remember, you don't want to take off as much of the black as you did with the box preceding so that it stays darker. So the less white you take off, the darker the value will become. So just follow along. And if you need to pause the video at any time, you can do that. Remember, you're using a different tool this time. Now see how the lines are further apart from each other? That will create the darker value. For this value, there are hardly any lines at all. And since this last box is completely black, we will not put any lines in it. We will just leave it black. And here we have our value scale. So now we're going to test out some different shading techniques. So go ahead and small letters write the word techniques, and then below it write the word stipple. This will be the first mark making we will do, and just experiment with doing stippling. Remember, this is just a bunch of little dots. Make it small enough so you have room to put everything else, okay? Just as you see here. Next, experiment a little bit with line design. So just do a few different lines, like this is a curved line, so do 2 or 3 parallel curved lines. Maybe do some straight lines. Here are some diagonal lines. So just experiment with different lines. Here's some curved lines. These are good for creating hairs. Next, we'll try our hand at cross-hatching. So experiment with cross-hatching, write the word, and then Just experiment a little bit with it. Remember, these are lines that cross over each other. And then we have scribble, which is also the same as our circling. Now remember, the more areas that you scribble out, then the wider it becomes. So experiment with this. Now we're going to try drawing and shading a 3D object with the cat's shadow. I want you to stop what you're doing and watch this part of the video before you try it on your own. I have given you a circle, so once you finish watching this, you will use your circle and then your chosen technique to begin scratching. As I mentioned, go ahead and watch how this is done before you attempt it on your own. Okay, so here, as you can see, hatching lines are used for the cat's shadow. The regular shadow is left black. So you're shading in reverse, so work on the brightest areas first. Shade in the direction of the object's form. So curved hatching lines are used here. And work lightly and slowly. Remember, you can always take off more black, but you cannot add it back on. Experiment with all the techniques to find your favorite. Here you can see that scribbling or circling is used. And you can also experiment with cross-hatching, stippling, or whatever you prefer. Okay, so go ahead and give it a try yourself.